Hello, I'm James Goodrum, and I was the reporter for Group 2, and we performed the Rankine cycle experiment. So I'll start a little bit of theory. This is the Rankine cycle from process 1 to 2. There's a pump. Allegedly, in the experiment we were supposed to perform, it wasn't going to be a pump, it's just a water reservoir that's elevated that pumps the water through. But what the pump does, it increases pressure of the compressed fluid. We know that. Process 2 to 3 is the boiler. So on this diagram it says the vaporizer. That's also this process on the entropy diagram. And what all that does, it increases the temperature from a saturated liquid to a saturated vapor, or superheated vapor actually. And then process 3 to 4, we have a dry saturated vapor that expands through the turbine, which increases the temperature and pressure and temperature decrease, but it generates power in the turbine, which does work, which is the whole point of this setup in the beginning. So, and then back to processes 4 through 1, you go through a condenser, which brings it back to a constant pressure temperature to go into the pump. Here's the apparatus we would have used. Just you know all this stuff from the last diagram. Here you have your condenser tower, you have your turbine. This is the source for your boiler, which is right here, and then somewhere outside the picture was a pump or a water reservoir used to pump water through. So we'd fill the boiler with 5,500 milliliters of water, close the steam emission valve, power up the burner and allow it to preheat. It's kind of like a grill, so it's not an instant burn. Slowly open the steam emission valve and maintain a 110 psi boiler pressure. This is one of the known values we had. Also, you want to turn on your generator to 2 amps and 6 volts. Or that's your load switch to 2 amps and 6 volts. And then set the sight glass up. And finally, with the maintain specified values, record that for 10 to 15 minutes. So here's some of the results we found or were given. I took a sample at times equal to 350 seconds. This was kind of about steady state. It's like in the middle of our steady state range. And there's a lot here, I know, but pretty much we had a boiler temperature of around 276 degrees Celsius. It was also running at 110 psi gauge, so that's good because that means we had consistent data. Turbine inlet pressure was around 9 psi gauge with the outlet pressure around 2 psi gauge. We also had turbine inlet temperature around 197 degrees Celsius with outlet temperature around 164 degrees Celsius. And the boiler consumed about 1.25 liters of water, with about 100 milliliters coming back. Here's our fuel flow graph against time. It's pretty flat. This should be expected since this is just the fuel going into the boiler. So that just shows that we didn't have a problem with that setup. This is the boiler temperature. It slowly rose a little bit, but we found that our steady state happened between 250 to 500. So this is kind of where our operation temperatures were. And so as you see here, I outlined in the red box was where steady state generally was. The yellow dot was where I took that sample measurements for all the values. We had some fluctuations, so it wasn't perfect, but life's not perfect. Turbine, so here's 2 graphs of our turbine pressures. The top one's the inlet, the bottom's the outlet. And as you see, they both slightly decreased over time. The inlet pressure increased more dramatically than the outlet. Here's the turbine temperatures against time. We had a lot of fluctuations in the beginning, 200 seconds. But as you see here, this is kind of where steady state occurred. The levels became more linear, or the graphs became more linear, and that's kind of it. Generator amps versus time. Generator voltage versus time, and turbine RPMs versus time. Again, they all kind of show the same characteristics of fluctuations at the beginning, fluctuations towards the end, but in the middle we had steady state. So in order to conduct my calculations, you have to make a few assumptions. One, I assume that superheated vapor is at the boiler exit. Two, there's constant entropy within the turbine. I was assuming ideal processes, even though they weren't. Saturated liquid at the condenser exit, and the volume across the condenser was constant. Here's some of the equations. They're kind of straightforward from thermodynamics. There's work equations and heat equations using entropy and pressures. And so here's calculations for my boiler. Calculated the amount of heat. I got around 2,387 kilojoules per kilogram. And then backing out the mass flow rate, you're able to determine the heat rate, which is about 5.2 kilowatts or kilojoules per second. So then moving on to the turbine calculations, work, we got about 800 kilojoules per kilogram. And then knowing the power that would generate the turbine and the generator, I got an entropy, I got an efficiency of about 0.12%, which is extremely low, so I think my math is off here, but I couldn't figure out how. So moving on to my condenser, I got heat flow rate of 3.5 kilowatts or kilojoules per second or kilowatts. If you use entropy or mass flow rate to back that out, it's a total heat of 2,052 kilojoules, which gives you a cycle efficiency of about 30.13%. Here's my steady state data for the points. It's a lot, but any questions?
Your boiler temperature you show as 296 degrees Celsius.
Yeah. So that was a problem I had. When I was using the boiler temperature given, which was the 110 degrees, or no, the one was given was off, and it wasn't matching up with the TS or the diagrams I was using. So I didn't know what I was supposed to use. Like I didn't know if the data was from the boiler or the inlet and exit. So I didn't know what that was specifically. So I kind of neglected it.
So that temperature that you mentioned is the water in the boiler?
I don't know what it was. I didn't take the measurement, so it was hard for me to talk about this temperature.
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you because we didn't do the experiment.
Because your turbine inlet temperature is 197, so that must be steam, right?
Yeah, superheated. Yeah.
And
But wouldn't you assume that between the boiler and the turbine, there would be, like it wouldn't change much, would it? So you go back to like the boiler and the turbine, I just don't see how the exit from here and the inlet from here would be different.
But then there is a big drop, right?
Yeah, about 100 degrees Celsius. Or 80 degrees Celsius.
So what happened to the electricity that was generated?
Well, Richard Simmons told us it goes into a, called it an artificial or simulated load. So it's disposed of somewhere, but it's simulated. He didn't say where. He didn't understand how. I'm assuming some sort of like friction or, probably friction.
Friction?
Well, if it's turning, I'm saying it's like maybe the turbine's turning a shaft and the shaft's lost. There's some sort of friction against that shaft to dispose of the energy. Some sort of simulated load.
Can you go to your, where you show the apparatus?
Oh, that.
So can you see that rheostat?
The what?
The rheostat?
Rheostat?
Load rheostat. It's a little
Load
dial.
rheostat.
It's a little dial in the middle, the very middle of the thing.
Under
Right
it.
there you go,
Yeah.
yeah.
So what is a rheostat?
A dial. No, it's I don't
It's
know.
a variable resistor. So basically you have a resistor which can give infinite resistance in the setup.
Oh.
So the electricity is going in there.
Okay, that makes way more sense than friction. Thank you.